Hi there, Stephanie Bryan, Garden Girl at Two Peas in a Bucket, here with you today. This week at Two Peas in a Bucket is all about storytellers, which is using tools, various tools to tell our stories. I will be using that as well as this month's mood board, which is full of pinks and reds and blues and script. This is the spread that I'll be walking you through today. It's just your typical Design A 12 by 12 spread. First, I wanted to walk you through how I am approaching Project Life this year. I'm sticking with a 12 by 12 album, and as you will see, I am using various size page protectors. This is a baseball card page protector. This one here I sewed myself. I just sewed it from a 12 by 12 pocket page protector and also trimmed it down. I also have mixed in just various sizes. The Design A, this one here was on the Two Peas in a Bucket blog and gallery a few weeks ago, as well as this one here. So I'm just doing whatever works for me, the photos I have, and just going with however it is. No rules, which has made so much easier for me. So this is just your Design A here, which is what I'll be sharing with you today. Pretty much a full Design A spread. I'm going to walk you through some of the supplies that I'm using. I like to get this little tray and fill it with some goodies that kind of coordinate. A lot of these are the printables from Two Peas in a Bucket, the February printables, as well as some of the die cuts and tags and other things. So I like to print them out, go ahead and trim them up even before I start my spread, even before I print my pictures out. So I kind of have all my cards ready to go. I don't really have to think too much about it. I also like to take some of the 12 by 12 papers. This one's from Echo Park, and then just cut out the 3 by 4 cards or the 4 by 6 cards and have those either handy while I'm putting my spread together or already trimmed out. It makes it so much easier to just grab and go instead of having to contemplate what you want to use. There are some of the die cuts. I won't be using them all, but it's just perfect to go ahead and cut them out, and then you have them available if I want to use them on another project or just anything else. It's just nice to have them handy. These are the tags that I also trimmed out, as well as some of the older tags from some of the older printables, which are still awesome and are still available in the shop. I have just some various wood veneer. Not quite sure what I want to do with the page, but I just kind of grabbed some things that spoke to me after I looked at the mood board. In this pile I have one of the wood veneer cards, some more tags, and then I have some of these Pebbles heart stickers, and these are the Maggie Holmes paper pads. They're like little sticky note pads, so they can come off. You can write there, stamp there. Some October Afternoon pop dots, and then some of those, again, those Pebbles stickers. Not really sure what I'm going to use, but just figured I would grab them anyway. This is kind of my little memorabilia pile, what I want to include or possibly include this week. Those are some text messages, which I just took a screenshot from my phone and printed them off. Artwork for my daughter, a couple random tags, and I've just been playing a lot around with the script. So I painted that, and I thought that maybe I could include it in this spread because it kind of goes along with my pictures. So I'm also grabbing out these Maggie Holmes style board, her new collection, little journaling cards, filler cards. The colors go great with this month's mood board, so I thought I'd have those handy in case I wanted to use those. So when I start Project Life page, I go ahead and print out all the photos that I want to use first. And since I know I'm going to use the Design A page protector, which has the top and bottom rows of 4 by 6 photos, I am going to go ahead and just print my photos at 4 by 6. That's one thing that I've kind of simplified this year. Last year I was a little bit all over the board with 3 by 4s or whatnot, but so I'm printing them 4 by 6, but some of the pictures I've cropped to leave a little space on the left hand side, or maybe even the right hand side, that I could add a journaling card or a little tag or something. But I found that just printing, the ease of printing 4 by 6 photos, and then I'm done with my photos. If I have some smaller ones, I can obviously add them in to the middle 3 by 4 pockets. But I am going to try to fill the majority of the 4x6 pockets with photos, unless there is an artwork or something that I know I want to include in one of those 4x6 pockets. So I'm going to lay out my page protectors. This is kind of the way I start my process whenever I get my photos printed, and I kind of gather my materials or have an idea or something of how I want my spread to go, and then I just start laying the photos that I do have out on my spread. One thing I try to think about as I'm laying them down are colors. So those two both have the like wood color to it, a little warmer colors. So I am going to split them up, one on the left side on the bottom and one on the top side, or on the right side on the top. So splitting them up like that just helps balance out the colors of the page. And again, there really is no rhyme and reason. Right now I'm just looking at it and trying to figure out, does that look okay? Do I want to move something around? And I usually do shuffle things around quite a bit. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to grab out some of my 3x4 journaling and filler cards. Just kind of going through and checking them out. Most of them that I picked out, obviously the February printables go very well with the mood board. And then as I was going through my stash, I tried to find some that were pretty similar in color, or the text or something about it kind of drew me into the mood board. So I'm just going to play around with the journaling card. So there, with that cup of hot chocolate, I do want to add a journaling card to the left, but it looks like I'm probably going to have to trim off just a little bit from that side, which is totally fine. I don't mind trimming it to work with my photos. And again, with the middle cards, I like to have that same kind of balance. So if I have a darker card on one side, right next to it, I would probably put something a little bit lighter. So I might have a warmer and then something that was a little bit cooler colors next to each other. So I like to have a variety of filler cards. I like to have a variety of journaling cards and pictures, although I don't usually add too many pictures in the middle 3x4 slots. Occasionally I will, but most of my pictures I try to keep at the 4x6 side. These are the die cuts from the Blue Star Designs, also in the shop, 2-piece shop. I'm just going to play around and see if I can figure out how I can make that work on that photo. But again, it's just a personal preference. So that's usually what I spend the most of my time doing when I put my Project Life spreads together, is shuffling things around, trying to figure out what I feel like looks the best to me or kind of captures our week or speaks to us. I like to include tags or anything that kind of is relevant to the week or month, I guess now, since I'm doing it monthly. But these are some text messages. My husband was out of town for a week, and we sent lots of text messages back and forth. So I would be so interested to know what in the world my parents talked about when we were little. So I love to include stuff like that kind of captures the us without a snapshot, our language and what we say, and it seemed just, I like adding that. So I'm going to add those in that pocket. And as always, my children's artwork usually makes an appearance somewhere in my spread. That's all about them. So I have that card right there, kind of in the middle, that I'm going to lay the picture on there. It's the perfect spot for adding some type of picture. So I have this picture that I could obviously trim down. I'm trying to figure out if I like the way that one looks there, but I do like that, the pop of the pink at the top. It kind of goes with everything else that I have going on the spread. So I'm not really loving that picture right there. So I think I'm going to take that picture away. And I kind of feel like I have too many white cards across the middle with the text messages, which is white, and the tag is mostly white. My calendar and everything, it seems pretty white. So I want to try to balance it out with just a little pop of color. So I'm going to grab out these new Dear Lizzie Daydreamer collection. They're the stitched cards. So I'm going to show them to you really fast because they're just beautiful. So they already have like a little bit of stitching or a tag. This one has a little tissue paper ruffle, little heart stitched at the bottom. They add just a lot of texture. Look at that one then stapled on. And then this one is kind of like it's letterpressed or maybe embossed a little bit. So I think I like this one, and I like how it kind of plays on the blueies, a little bit of the blue, the text in there, and it also just breaks up the colors in the middle of the spread. So I think I'm going to add that one in there and kind of check it out. I'm still not loving how it looks to the left, that middle row. So I'm going to grab a photo of my daughter on our bike ride. And I like that it has just a little more color. One thing that I have tried to be better about, which goes along perfectly with this week this month, the me theme at Two Bees in a Bucket, is telling my story or adding little bits and pieces of information about me. Obviously, my kids steal the show most of the time, so most of my pictures are usually about them, although I do try to get myself in front of the camera and some of my story down in our book pretty regularly. I try to include something about myself every week, or every spread, I guess I should say. So this was kind of a selfie, the picture of myself in that bottom right-hand corner right there. I just set my tripod up in my craft room against a wall that gets pretty good light, and I just snapped a couple pictures. Obviously, it's not the best picture ever, but it definitely, I'm in there. It's a selfie, I could say. So I'm in there, and I wanted to add just a little bit of information, kind of like a currently card. So what I'm doing right now, what I'm loving, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, that kind of stuff. So I grabbed that one of the 12 by 12 Dear Lizzie Daydreamer collection papers that had the 3 by 4 cards and 4 by 6 cards on there. And I trimmed out that bottom one that says, "Remember these moments," and I cut it down all the way out to fit in that bottom left-hand pocket. So as you see there, I moved that picture of the hot chocolate that had a little bit of that journaling card, which I'm trimming down right now, so it'll fit over there on that side, and I switched it with the picture of my son. I did that because both the bottom pictures were kind of centered to the right. The photo was centered to the right, and then there was a journaling card to the left. So I just wanted to add something, kind of balance it out with a full picture rather than being the exact same when you look at the whole spread. What I also like to do is make my own pockets, vellum pockets. So this is just a piece of vellum that I purchased from Amazon, just a large pack. And I trimmed it down to roughly 3 by 4. Actually, that's not true. 3 inches wide by maybe 7 inches long. And then I folded it up. So it has a little fold there. And then I took it to my sewing machine and I stitched all around it. You could also do washi tape kind of around the edges if you don't have a sewing machine or just don't want to bother using a sewing machine. But I like that I can just create my own little pockets in a pocket and then add those the snapshot of our text message in there. And I can add a little tag or just a little bit of information kind of explaining what those are. And as somebody flips through there, they can pull out the whole pocket or just pull out the cards or whatever. But I like that I can create a place to hold all of those together. And vellum works perfectly for stuff like that. So since I moved that hot chocolate that had that wood grain background up to the top, I'm just going to move the picture of the snowman against the fence. We got a little bit of snow, and my 2 children and my neighbors built a snowman. It was hilarious seeing, because you see the ground, there's absolutely no snow on the ground. So they found all the snow they could. So now I'm just going to grab some tags, and for the most part, other than stitching and kind of typing up my journaling, the spread is pretty much the way it's going to be. So now I'm just going to kind of put the finishing touches on everything. So I'm going to slide this right side over and kind of work on one side at a time now that I am pretty happy with how it looks together. So I've grabbed out some of the tags that I trimmed out, some of the paper clips, and I'm going to try to see what works best, or what I feel like looks best, kind of decorate each card or each picture just a little bit. And again, this is a personal preference here. Play with it. I like to move things around, shuffle things around, and see what I like. And what I like to do a little bit of contrast of color. I like the red. Also have a couple pieces of flair from Two Peas in a Bucket Shop. That one says it's a new day. So I'm going to add that right over there on that journaling card, where I'm going to add my journaling about kind of my currents, what I'm thinking and feeling. Get a little bit of me in there. So I'm just testing to see what I think looks the best. I like that pop of red against the darker part of the photo, and I'm just going to slide that over a little bit, kind of break up those three cards, the calendar card and the hearts card, and that poem card right there. Break up that white a little bit, add a little bit of balance to that side. See, I just shuffle. I just touch. I did that for no reason. I just straighten and eyeball and see what works. But Project Life is actually very therapeutic. Sometimes it stresses me out. It stressed me out a lot more last year than it has this year so far. I like the monthly approach much more than a weekly approach. So I took out a couple of the cards, and I took basically everything that I wanted to add some journaling on over to my typewriter, which is right behind me, but my camera is not over there. So I typed out, I typed a couple things on vellum. I typed a couple things on the tags or on the journaling cards, and then I also trimmed down a little tag that I'm going to add to one of the photos. And you can see here on the picture with my son laying there on the floor, I ran it directly through my typewriter and added my journaling right on top of the photo. So if I have a photo that has a little bit of white space, I like to do that. It just saves me a step and saves me a tag, and it's super easy. So if you have a typewriter, I highly recommend typing on photos. And if you don't have a typewriter, then you can just write directly on your photos. I don't just Sharpie pen or anything like that would be perfect. So now the final step before I adhere everything down and then sew it on is to just kind of place everything back on the page. So on the hearts card to the left, I just typed just a little bit about it being February and the things that I kind of loved about February. So I'm going to grab the right side. I really wanted that die cut frame to work, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to make that one work. So now that I've got my typed journaling cards and everything ready to go, I'm just going to lay it back down, kind of get an idea. So that was the tag on the far right, and as you can see, I typed my journaling onto vellum, which you can also print from your printer. If you print from your printer onto vellum, make sure you just give it a good maybe 10 or 15 minutes to dry, because it does tend to smear a little bit. So I usually just run the vellum through the back of my typewriter or back of my printer that way. So these are some of the new labels from the Studio Calico Wonderlust collection, and they are sticker labels, and they are so perfect for Project Life. So stop what you're doing and go get those right now. I like to cut mine out and then run them through my typewriter. So I just trimmed out the ones that I wanted to use on my layout or on my spread, and then ran them through my typewriter. They work perfectly. They bend easily, and then once I'm ready, I'm just gonna pop them off and stick them right on to my picture. But I like that I can cut them out and place them and make sure that's where I want them and everything looks good before I go ahead and stick them down. So as you can see, I kind of shuffled those two pockets around, mainly because the picture had a label that was in about the same space as the pocket. So I just thought it would be a little bit better balanced if I put on the other side. So here are some of the Dear Lizzie Daydreamer, her new collection, some of the stickers. I want to add something to that label that I just added to the pocket, but I think those stickers might be a little bit too large. So I'm just going to play around and see if I can add maybe a heart, a wood veneer heart there. But in the end, I use my go-to gold paper clip, which has an appearance, I think, in every single Project Life spread for no reason other than they're just pretty awesome. So there's the tag that I trimmed down and typed my journaling on. Do you want to build a snowman? Anybody else saying that every time they see a snowman? My kids are obsessed with the movie Frozen. So that is our snowman Olaf. Also my son in his Olaf pajamas, which he never takes off. So I'm going to add that tag there. And I think I'm just going to take it and trim off a little bit from the top part. So I added a little bit of adhesive and I trimmed it off just a little bit. I tied a little piece of string around there. So I'm going to set that there. And then I did want to include the little colored heart that my daughter punched out and wrote I love you on. So I think I'm going to try to add it on that sheet there. For this bottom pocket, I'm going to grab out these Amy Tangerine, her +1 thickers, and I tucked the picture right in the pocket, and I'm going to add organize, because I'm always organizing something. I'm just going to add organize right on top of the pocket. So I do this a lot in my Project Life spreads, adding things directly onto the page protector, so not necessarily the photo inside the pocket. I think it makes it a little bit easier for me to move it around and make sure that's how I like it. And it adds a little bit of dimension and a little bit of texture to the actual page instead of everything being on the outside. It's nice to have, I'll add flair on the outside, or sometimes I'll add stickers or thickers, anything along that line. I'm just going to grab one of these Baggy Homes Style Board sticky note stickers, and I'm going to put it, kind of fill in that blank side of the photo with one of the sticky note stickers, and then I'm going to take the back of that label sticker there. I'm going to stick it there, and it says a perfect day over the top, and then my journaling says something about how my kids follow me everywhere. I'm pretty sure I was getting ready one morning, and my kids don't like to play. They like to just be wherever I am. It can be a good thing or a bad thing. So I added that there, and I think for the most part everything's pretty much done. I'm going to go back through and add adhesive to a couple of the cards and little tags here. And then I'm just going to take everything over to my sewing machine, which is also right beside me but out of camera reach, and sew everything into place. Sewing just adds a little bit more texture. It makes it look finished to me for some reason. It's so easy to sew on paper. It's easier to sew on paper than it is to sew on fabric, I think. So for this photo, before I do that, this photo of my daughter, I want to add a little bit of journaling over on the darker side of the photo. So I grabbed out my white gel Uniball pen, and I'm going to add just some little notes about our bike ride on a warm winter day. And I'm pretty sure the next day it was like 8 degrees. Living in North Carolina, the weather changes drastically day to day, which I guess can be a nice thing. So I'm going to add my journaling right there, and I left a little space at the bottom to grab that red XOXO tag. I'm just going to stick that right below it with just a little dab of adhesive, because I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine and run it down. So this is the card that I trimmed the left side off so it would fit right there beside the cup of hot chocolate. So I love to add journaling cards directly onto my 4x6 photos, and since I am only going to print photos that are true to size for my pockets this year to make it a little bit easier on me, this has become the easiest way I can think of. So I'm just going to play around and see if I can add another little tag or something there. But in the end, I think I'm just pretty happy with how that looks. So I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and finish it up. And that's it. Here's a look at the finished project. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really love Project Life, and I'm so glad that I get to share my process with you. I hope that I've inspired you to play around with this month's mood board, get yourself in front of the camera, jot down some thoughts and feelings about yourself. Just basically play around and have fun. Let me know what you think. Leave me some comments, and if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Thanks.